Welcome back to hashtag that. I'm Julie Barcello.
And I'm Beckett Calkins. From Radium Girls to the Hunger Games, we're back with the latest entertainment news updates.
All that and more from Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Tiffany Haddish was arrested and charged with a DUI after allegedly falling asleep at the wheel of her car on November 24th. Beverly Hills Police Department responded to a call around 5:45 a.m. on Friday morning, saying that there was a woman with her car on stopped in the middle of Beverly Drive. Haddish has performed at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club the night before in their 43rd annual free Thanksgiving feast for the community event. Haddish was later released on Friday the 24th, but this is not her first offense. Early last year, Haddish was arrested in Peachtree, Georgia for yet another DUI. She posted a $1,666 bond and was released in that case.
On November 20th, Taylor Swift fans saw some extreme heat, with temperatures up to 105 degrees at her tour in Rio de Janeiro. The heat left 2 fans dead. 25-year-old Gabriel Santos was stabbed to death on a Copacabana beach at around 3 a.m. Later that week, Ana Machado, age 23, passed away, falling during Swift's first show in the city. Fans reported fainting, being mugged, or caught in police raids. Inside the Nilton Santos Olympic Stadium, fans complained of the unbearable heat while having difficulty accessing water. Swift postponed the show due to these complications.
If you're a fan of the Karate Kid franchise, you may be in for a treat. Actors Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are set to team up in a brand new Karate Kid movie. The new Karate Kid will be in theaters on December 13th, 2024 and will be directed by Jonathan Entwistle. Chan starred as Mr. Han in the 2010 remake of the original Karate Kid, while Macchio played Daniel LaRusso in the original 1984 film. Macchio also plays LaRusso in the sequel television series Cobra Kai.
On Thanksgiving, Dolly Parton took the stage at the Dallas Cowboys home game against the Washington Commanders. Parton decided to dress as Texas's biggest supporter, a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She owned the stage in a cropped long-sleeve blue shirt under the quintessential white vest, with cobalt blue stars and the matching white shorts. For the show, she performed 2 of her classics, Jolene and 9 to 5, and a cover of Queen's We Are the Champions. Although Parton is one of the music industry's prized performers, Parton has yet to host the Super Bowl halftime show. She told Hollywood Reporter in November, quote, "When you think about those shows, those are big, big productions. I've never done anything with that big of a production. I don't know if I could have. I think at the time, that's what I was thinking," end quote.
Quinnipiac's theater program put on a production of Radium Girls, and here with a discussion with those involved is Ryan Agnello.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Ryan Agnello, and today I'm joined by Lauren Sweeney, Haley Newton, and John Blandford to discuss Quinnipiac Fourth Wall's production of Radium Girls. Also with us is Vlora Alka, a student representative of the Health, Medicine, and Society major, to connect to the play with the major's focus on ethics, equity, and fairness in healthcare as well, as provide more insight to the play's historical and cultural importance today. It's a pleasure to have you all here.
Lauren Sweeney, I'm the director of Radium Girls, and I'm also the publicity coordinator for Fourth Wall.
I am John. I am an actor in the play.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm the set designer for Radium Girls, and I'm an actor as well.
Hi, I'm Vlora Alka, and I'm a third-year student in the Health, Medicine, and Society major.
So Radium Girls is based on a true story. It's about these girls who work in a factory where they paint watch faces, dials for watch faces, and in the factory there's radium in the paint they use, and they end up like ingesting the radium because they put the paintbrushes in their mouths to make a tip on the point of the paintbrush.
There's a lot of unfair discrimination or people not believing certain stories, especially on behalf of women or minorities, and so I think it's super relevant to be able to tell that story and demonstrate that, especially as Quinnipiac is a very health science related school, so there's a lot of people that are interested in health science, and this is a very important topic to be able to discuss.
The theme around ethics and justice and fairness in the medical environment is something that is very heavily focused on in the HMS major. So if you could just describe what the objective and goal of the HMS major is.
So the HMS major has a big emphasis on having students be able to navigate different health and medical issues. So if there was, let's say, laws in place to make sure that there was someone checking in on the Radium girls, or making sure that there were standards to make sure people don't put the paint in their mouth, that could play into a huge role. Like more knowledge about whether stuff is dangerous or not. There's a lot of warnings on packages now. So as scientists were able to expand their knowledge, so is the safety of different places.
Issues that are being seen in the show are still unfortunately relevant today. Medical misinformation, the commodification of science being two major ones that are still obviously very big issues today, especially through COVID. We see in the play a lot of rapid acceleration, obviously, in the discovery of radium and radiology and its various uses medically, and how that can that rapid advancement can kind of blind people to actually look at the actual science that's being displayed to them and kind of brush it aside.
I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit shocked about how bad it actually was in that time period, and still how realizing how that's still happening now. It was really bad, and it still hasn't gotten that much better.
Well, it certainly sounds like a really inspiring story, and I can't wait to go see it. But that's about all the time we have for this discussion today. I want to sincerely thank our panel of people, Lauren, Haley, John, and Flora today for their time. Definitely go see Radium Girls on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of December. And look into the Health Medicine and Society major if you want to learn more about complex issues surrounding the healthcare system. Thank you very much.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joe, spotlight on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Katie Valukovich and Taylor DeLisi are here to discuss their thoughts on the Hunger Games ballad of songbirds and snakes. Take it away, guys.
What's up, hashtag? I'm Katie.
And I'm Taylor. Today, we're taking the train to District 12 to discuss the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which came out on Friday, November 17th.
Film, we discover the origins of Cornelius Snow, played by Tom Blythe, who becomes the tyrannical president of the Capitol later on in life. 18-year-old Snow has one shot at being a mentor in the 10th annual games and bring his family back to former glory after his parents died. However, he is given the task of mentoring the female from District 12, Lucy Gray Bird, played by Rachel Zegler, the poorest of the poor.
The next few moments contain spoilers, so if you'd like to avoid any, please feel free to mute us now. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is divided into 3 parts: the mentor, the prize, and the peacekeeper.
Part 1 focuses on the pre-game rituals and Snow's initial relationship with Lucy Gray. If you had to watch the first 4 Hunger Games, Snow treating a tribute like a real person is completely out of the ordinary, so it caught me off guard. The games are losing traction, and the Capitol almost wants to put the idea of the games away. Snow comes up with the idea of making the tributes marketable so people will actually watch the games.
Part 2 focuses on the games itself, which when you compare it to later years is a lot more feral. 5 tributes die before the games even begin, with 1 being shot for misbehaving by the peacekeepers, and 4 more were killed in a bombing, really emphasizing how animalistic Panem once was. Thanks to Snow cheating by giving Lucy Gray rat poison before the games began, and by having snakes get acclimated to her scent, she wins the games.
Part 3 focuses on Snow's punishment, in which he has to be a peacekeeper for the next 20 years since he cheated. This is the part of the movie where we see Snow become more and more pro-capital. Even turns out his best friend's Sejanus Plinth for planning to escape Panem, ultimately getting him killed in the hanging tree. Later on, Snow is granted full pardon from serving as a peacekeeper and gets to attend university at the capital for free after the leaders realize he will one day make a very powerful leader.
Seeing Snow descend into a true villain was super interesting, especially after the first 2 parts of the movie. For the first about an hour and a half, I thought to myself, how could Snow possibly have so much hate in his heart for District 12 all those years later? As the film progressed, I took note of his desire for power, his desire to win, and most importantly, his desire to get what he wants.
It was very interesting and surprising to see how Snow became a villain. I saw the desire and how much effort he put in to make sure Lucy Gray wins the games. Seeing the slow descent into him becoming a villain was hard and shocking to watch. And you can see the massive change in his demeanor and his outlook as the story progressed. I was sad and shocked to see Lucy Gray killed in the end. It was a sad and tragic ending to their story.
That's all the time we have. If you have not seen Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I highly recommend you do, especially if you were a true Hunger Games fangirl back in the day like I was. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Katie. Back to you guys at the desk.
Zoe Matzell is here for this week's hashtag Let's Get Real. Take it away, Zoe.
Thanks, guys. First up, court case chaos ensues as yet another former Basketball Wives star, Royce Reed, is involved in a child neglect case. Originally, fellow show member British Williams was charged with 15 felonies for financial fraud and wound up with a 4-year prison sentence. But fortunately for Royce, she narrowly avoided jail time, and a significant amount too, as child neglect is considered a 3rd-degree felony and can mean up to 5 years in prison. It all started last year when Reed's son was 14, had been involved with sexual misconduct, restricted from interacting with children 2 years younger than he, and then violated these terms. That's when Reed was charged with child neglect for allowing the situation to occur. She pled not guilty to the charge, but the back and forth in court continued for over a year. Finally, the courts came to the decision that Reed would complete a community service program and take some classes to be specified at her court date next week. In other news, Megan Thee Stallion let fans know what a fan she is of The Real Housewives when she talked about it live on Instagram last week. She gave shout-outs to some of her favorites from the franchise, naming several stars from the shows. Starting with The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she called out both Meredith Marks and Monica Garcia. She also name-dropped Karen Huger as her favorite from Potomac. Finally, she brought up a pretty popular fan sentiment, agreeing that she too just wanted them to bring Portia Williams and Nene Leakes back to the show. So it seems like Meg and May share a lot of the same feelings with the majority of the fan base after all. Dancing with the Stars held their latest episode last week, this time with yet another new theme, one in apparently very high demand. The 6 remaining teams paid tribute to Taylor Swift, each performing to a song of hers for the grand prize. The duos danced to hits like You Belong With Me, Cruel Summer, and the show-stopping Don't Blame Me, which received a perfect score from the judges. But where the real controversy lies is in the couple that performed to Swift's alternative hit single, August. Dancer Harry Jowsey put on a rumba with co-star Riley Arnold for this number, but the internet had a lot to say about him over the past week. Fans have pointed out that although Jowsey claims to be a Swiftie, it turns out he actually follows a certain someone on Instagram, that is, the famous Scooter Braun, the man responsible for stealing Taylor's Masters back in 2019. That on top of the fact that Jowsey also does not even follow Swift, and some fans feel that due to his skills he had already been on the show longer than he should have, the fans were determined. The Swifties took to TikTok and spread the word to vote for everyone but the couple in order to bring justice to the dance floor. And their work paid off. Not only was there a notable spike in viewer engagement, but the fans were able to truly pay tribute to Taylor as Harry and Riley were eliminated at last this round. The couple did end up making it further into the season than expected, finishing gracefully, calling the experience a dream. Swift even made a video appearance, thanking the show for the homage and wishing the contestants good luck on the stage. That's it for this week's hashtag Let's Get Real. Back to you guys at the desk.
Super Mario RPG just dropped. And with his thoughts here is Marcus Ferreira.
Hey hashtag, it's Marcus. Earlier this month, Super Mario RPG released for the Nintendo Switch, being remake of the 1996 classic on the SNES, there's quite a lot of new and improved content to talk about, so let's get right into it. The game starts with the standard Mario affair, as he charges into Bowser's castle to defeat him and save Princess Peach. Right as he's about to save her, though, a giant sword falls from the sky into the castle, launching the three far across the world. Mario then learns that the sword crashed through Star Road, a mystical place where wishes are granted, causing it to shatter into 7 star pieces. He sets off on adventure to find the star pieces and save the world, which has been overrun by monsters from the so-called Smithy Gang ever since the sword fell. Along the journey, you'll team up with 5 party members. Mario is joined by new characters like Mallow, a young frog, supposedly, and Geno, a star warrior sent from the Star Road who inhabits the body of a wooden doll. You also team up with Bowser and Princess Peach. When the original game released in 1996, it was the first Mario game to have turn-based RPG-style battles, but 27 years later, what does the remake do to spice things up? The remake features the original game's action commands, which let you do more damage if you press the A button in time with your attacks, but new to the remake are perfect action commands, which on top of increasing your damage even further, will cause a wave of damage to hit every enemy on screen. The timing for these is quite challenging. Also new to the remake are triple moves. By filling up the action gauge with chains of successful action commands, you can unleash powerful moves with bombastic cutscenes that change based on your active party members. There are new features outside of battle too, such as the scrapbook, which catalogs major story beats, and the monster list, which lets you look back at every enemy you fought. There's a whole lot of unique enemies, so filling out the list will be quite the challenge. One last thing to touch on is that this remake looks and sounds utterly gorgeous. The original game gave the illusion of 3D using pre-rendered models turned into sprites, with advanced technology for the time. The remake recreates the original's art style faithfully and beautifully, with incredible 3D models of every character and location. Its appearance is only elevated by the soundtrack, which was fully recomposed by Yoko Shimomura, the same woman who composed the songs in the original game. You can even swap between the new and original soundtracks in-game, though the remixes are absolutely worth a listen. As someone who was nostalgic for the original game after playing it as a kid, this remake was everything I could have hoped for. It improves on the original in almost every aspect. Whether you've been through this adventure or not, Super Mario RPG is certainly worth playing. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
We're back with this week's Hollywood News Update. And here to fill us in on all the latest West Coast entertainment news is Rachel McKenna.
Thanks, guys. We're going to start straight to our Golden State for our first story. Musician Daryl Hall has called for a lawsuit against his part-time, long-term partner, John Oates. Hall argues that his plan to sell off his share of joints of the venture would violate their terms of business agreement as the Hall and Oates duo. He filed for a temporary restraining order granted on November 17th after a $50,000 restraining bond was obtained. Neither party has addressed the legal issue on social media. However, Oates made a public statement on Instagram saying, quote, "During this time of communal reflection and connection with loved ones, let's not forget those experiencing challenges globally. This case will be taken up in a hearing on November 30th. Julia and Beckett, do you think that collaborative groups like Hall & Oates fizzle out earlier than solo artists?
I think they do. I think it's easier for a band to fizzle out than it is for an artist, also because of the amount of publicity that a big group of people falling out receives rather than a single artist. I also think, like, for example, we saw One Direction break up, And Harry Styles, he left, and then he became one of the most well-known artists across the world. I also think that part of that has to do with the fact that artists, when they're in a band, and eventually once they get started up with that group, they realize, I kind of want to go do my own thing and follow my own path, and they probably also make a bit more money on the financial side. So I think that that's kind of what it is.
I agree with maybe the financial side of it, but I think that it's always, it's not necessarily just groups breaking up more often or, groups falling apart rather than solo artists. I think it just, it catches the headlines when a big group or a really popular group, breaks up and kind of falls off a little bit. But take a look at like some popular solo artists like Justin Bieber. He peaked when he was really young, still really popular now, right? But not nearly as popular as he was, when he was 19, 20 years old. Now, Selena Gomez, same could be said about her. So those are solo artists, obviously still making music, still doing their own thing. And they obviously didn't break up from a bigger group, but it's kind of just, however that solo artist feels, not necessarily just the group breaking up, which obviously catches a lot of headlines. Yeah. Now back to you, Rachel. What do you think?
I definitely agree. I definitely see your points. I think that the big group like One Direction, having them break apart definitely would help those solo artists go on and become bigger than they were when they were in the group. And I definitely think that with Justin Bieber, he's still relevant today. So you had really good points about that. I definitely agree. Actor Paul Rudd opened up about his diet upon playing Ant-Man in The Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. A strict and unusual diet was necessary for him to transform into the character. Rudd sat down with Off-Menu Comedy Food Podcast to discuss how he felt about this unusual diet. Rudd said, quote, "When I was having to train for the Ant-Man movie and I was put on a very restrictive diet, my reward was sparkling water. That's how horrible that diet was. I was like, all right, can I have some sparkling water now? I think I've earned it." Do you guys think that celebrities go too far with their on-screen physique?
I mean, I think this question could go either way, but I'm going to say no. I think it's part of the job. It's something they sign up for. It's something that actors and actresses, get paid the big bucks for. I think of it a little bit like athletes. They're paid to meet a certain weight or play a certain position that they need to look a certain way. And while it's kind of tough, it's like the dark side of the industry. It is a realistic thing that happens, and it happens not only in the entertainment industry. I think, it's probably not the greatest thing that sparkling water is a reward, but, some things have to balance out.
I think it's different for athletes, only because athletes, I think they have more of a healthy balance with it when they're exercising, and I'm sure their trainers and everyone's making sure that they are healthy still. But, I mean, when you look at actors, yes, it's part of their job, but I think it's very much to what extent. For example, this summer we saw Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy, I read that he ate roughly an almond a day, and he spoke in this article about how he was like nauseous and he couldn't function as well as he should have been able to because of what he was eating, and that's a very real thing that happens to everyone. But when you're working these long shifts that these actors are working, especially in huge films like Oppenheimer, I think it's something that does have to be looked to an extent. But Rachel, what do you think?
I definitely think it's a lot harder for actors to do it than athletes. Like you had mentioned, that athletes are constantly moving and they're training their bodies in a way to be able to deal with these strict diets, but actors, like eating an almond a day is kind of crazy, but a lot of them commit to the bit and they do it and it pays off on screen. I definitely agree with that. That's all we have time for on Hollywood News Update. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
but I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Michael Katzflin and Grace Doyle are here to discuss their thoughts on the new animated series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. What do you guys have for us?
Hey, hashtag, I'm Michael.
And I'm Grace. This Thanksgiving break, we spent it with our favorite pilgrim, who just so happens to be from Toronto, Canada.
On Friday, November 17th, Netflix released Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, a new animated adaptation of the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel series. We're here with a full breakdown and our reactions.
A spoiler warning is in full effect.
So this property really pivots away from what we got in the movie back in 2010. The first episode plays out almost exactly the same with a few added scenes, but then once we get to the end, things really pivot away from the plot. I was just expecting an extended version of what we got in the movie, but more fleshed out, but I didn't expect for a completely different plot line.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that left a lot of fans really shocked by the end of the first episode. I like that director Abel Gongora actually took the IP of Scott Pilgrim and actually expanded upon it. This is a completely new take on the series.
Something that does stand out from this reboot is that they kept all of the original cast for voice actors, which is really surprising, so it was really nice to see that.
I think it speaks to how well crafted the Scott Pilgrim film was and how beloved it is by audiences, so much so that the entire original cast wanted to come back. One aspect of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off that I really enjoy is the fact that it's an amalgamation of all other Scott Pilgrim content. The fight sequences actually take inspiration from the Scott Pilgrim video game because it is like a fighting battle simulator type game.
Yeah, no, with the art style, it just really feels like it was just pulled straight from the pages of the book and like makes them more fleshed out characters. Characters that will make the movie going forward more enjoyable to watch.
I think this series itself was just a labor of love, and obviously it's something that fans have been looking forward to for a long time, and personally I really enjoyed it and I was satisfied with the outcome.
Yeah, no, agreed. I was definitely very satisfied. Like, it did take a little getting used to at the beginning, but then I easily warmed up to this new idea, and I do think it really worked well.
All 8 episodes of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off are streaming on Netflix now.
That's all we have time for. Back to you guys at the desk.
This week, Julie and I are playing a game of Bop or Flop, where we'll be debating which of today's most popular songs are a hit or a miss. Let's get started.
All right, bad idea. I like Olivia Rodrigo. I think she gets some hate that she doesn't deserve. You know, okay, at first I will say I wasn't the biggest fan. I will say that. But I think once you start listening to her music, I think it also depends on the mood you're in. She grows on you. And at first this song kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't really ready for it, but I think it was a bop. I think it ended up being a pretty good song, and it grew on me a lot, and I really do like it.
You know what, Julia? I like Olivia Rodrigo at times. I think it definitely depends on the mood that you're in, but with this one, I'm gonna have to go with flop, unfortunately.
I think you're just wrong, Beckett. I think you're wrong. I just think you're wrong. But let's move on. All right. Beckett, do you want to start us off with Dial Drunk?
Yeah, I mean, Dial Drunk, I'm a big Noah Kahan guy. I'm going to go with bop on this one. I saw him live in concert. He was fantastic, so that's definitely a bop for me.
I do envy you saw him in concert. I also love Noah Kahan, but the collab with Post Malone is just not, I just don't really see why he did that. I don't really know where it came from. I think it was a bit of a flop because of that. I think the original song is really good. I mean, it has a great, just everything about the original song is good, but I think it was a flop.
A little disappointing there, Julia. What do you think about Dance the Night by Dua Lipa?
I love Dua Lipa. I really do. She's one of my favorite artists, and I think we definitely need some more music from her. But you can tell that it's from the Barbie movie, but I think that's okay because who doesn't love the Barbie movie? But I think this was a bop.
All right, I'll agree with you. It's a great tune. I'll go with a bop as well. You know, the backbeat, it really gets you going. Definitely a bop.
Well, I'm glad we finally agree on that one. But I mean, Dua Lipa, I love her. She hasn't come out with new music in a minute though.
Let's see one more. Oh, what are your thoughts on Jack Harlow? Love It On Me?
Okay, I just don't like Jack Harlow that much. It's a hot take, but I really just I feel like his music's just the same as everything else. I just don't. I think this song was a bop. I think this song was a flop. I'm sorry. It's okay in the beginning. It just kind of I feel like there's no crescendo or anything really.
I think it serves its purpose. I don't think it's necessarily a bop that you can listen to every day. But we'll go with bop overall, strictly because of how popular it is on TikTok. I think it works in that aspect. So I'll go with bop on that one.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this week on #that.
Make sure to follow us on our social media accounts to stay up to date.
I'm Julie Barcello.
And I'm Beckett Calkins from the producers, talent, and everyone working hard behind the scenes. Thank you for watching #that, and we will see you again next week.